Hello, the internet. Welcome to the latest issue of the Ghostlight Social. It is me, it is Mike, with me slightly rejuvenating beard. I'm mentioning it up top just in case anybody in the comments goes, has he dyed his beard? Yes, I fucking have.
Oh, you've got an F word in early as well.
Yeah, bollocks to it.
Mum will be on. My mum will be on to you.
I'm sorry.
Be on.
I don't care. Right, so where was I in my intro? Yeah, so welcome to the intro of the Ghostlight Social, where we get creative people together, we have a bit of an natter, we raise our hopes and we dash our fears. With me, as always, is Mr. Lee Toombs. I'm looking over there, but actually I've moved everything. It's on this screen now, so hello, Lee.
Oh, Michael, it's nice to see you. I haven't seen you for a while, actually.
Yeah, because we did the pre-record, didn't we, last Monday, so it's been like 10 days or something.
Yeah, and we haven't been filming, of course, this week because I've just been too busy. So how are you? How have you been?
I'm all right. I've had quite a productive day today, I think.
Have you written some scripts?
So I have done a quick pass on a script, and I've sent it to somebody to have a read of, somebody who will read it, unlike you, Lee. To Chris, it was on a few weeks ago. He kindly offered to have a look at some stuff, so I've sent him something today. He's not replied, so he's either read it and thought it's dog shit or he's not got around to it. But I have only just sent it like a couple of hours ago, so no pressure, Chris.
To be fair, I think he's panicking at the moment because Amazon Prime have just released a Simon Pegg and Nick Frost comedy series. Oh
yeah.
That's very similar to what they've been writing. So I think they're frantically going through it, going, "Oh, do we need to change anything?" Yeah, so I think he's busy.
I think I'm a little bit glitchy, so apologies.
No more than normal. When I said, "Have you written any scripts?" I meant for
customers.
For people that pay.
No, but afterwards I've got some developments on particular stuff, but that's business. You don't want to hear about that, do you? I've got something to share.
Okay, all right. I haven't, so go for your life.
All right. So apologies if you don't like cameras. This is a bit of a nerd thing, but there's a video to accompany it. So this company, basically what they do is they get lenses and they put them on the best camera they can find, which at the moment is the Alexa LF, the large format camera. They do a repeated test, so you can have a look at these lenses, have a real world look at what these lenses will look like, and they've been doing it for years with anamorphic lenses, with 35mm lenses, and they've just released their large format full frame lens. It's the biggest one they've done. It's 300 videos. The company's called ShareGrid, and they have got everything from the Rocking On Zine, which is kind of like your entry level cinema lens, right up to kind of Arri Prime, so the stuff which 1917 was shot on, and films like that.
Are they sponsoring us?
No.
Oh, it's a shame, isn't it?
But that was something which I know it would be great, because that was a really rather swish little.
It was very impressive. It was almost
very unlike us. But it came. I saw it.
I thought they'd paid you a few quid and you hadn't told me.
No. I mean, I'm open. My bank account is open. I'll give you the numbers live.
Right.
But it's something. It dropped into my YouTube subscription feed last night, and I probably spent about an hour and a half just going through looking at lenses I will never be able to afford to shoot on. And it's great because how they set it up is they have one model, they have a room lit in various stages, so they have a foreground, a midground and a background, and they just basically have this model in the midground. They focus on her to start with, rack focus to the foreground, rack focus to the background, so you can have a look at all the bokeh, you can have a look at how the colour is represented. So they'll put a colour card up there, they'll put a sharpness card up there, they'll do some pans and some tilts to see what it's like in terms of does it add to global, to rolling shutter and all that kind of stuff. And it's a really nerdy thing, but I love it and I could just sit and watch it forever. So I wanted to share that with you.
Okay.
So
are you actually sharing a video?
So there was a video on while I was talking.
Oh, was there?
Yeah.
Oh, we never saw it.
I didn't see that.
No, it just went out.
I'm just running to shut this door.
So there's our guests.
Oh, that's good. So that's nice. Let's get our guests in, shall we?
Yeah.
Yeah. Very, very lucky and I'm so glad. By the way, I forgot to mention, it's so glad to be live again. But very, very lucky to have with us today writer. Just writer really at the moment.
Yeah.
I think. Just writer. Writer Alice Nutter and actor Leanne Rowley. Ladies, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Are we both in sunny Yorkshire?
We are.
We're both in sunny Yorkshire because I know you're a Yorkshire lass, Leanne, aren't you?
I am. Yeah.
Alice, sadly, you're not. Are you? You're from the other side of the Pennines.
I have been here since 1981, though.
Yeah, to be fair.
I am.
Where are you, Leanne?
I'm in Slowett.
Oh, where's Slowett?
Huddersfield in Manchester.
Oh, okay.
10-15 minutes away from Huddersfield.
Yeah.
Oh, I know where it is. You've got a train station.
We have.
And I've called it
Whether the
Slaithwaite.
trains arrive or not is another matter. But
I would have said if you're.
I always thought you were Slaithwaite.
Yeah, everybody calls it Slaithwaite.
Yeah, unless you live here, then you're allowed to call it Slowett. If you call it Slowett and you don't live here, they look at you weird.
Really?
But then if you say Slaithwaite, then they look at you weirder.
It's essentially Cleck-Huddersfax, though, isn't it?
What? But yeah.
Cleck-Huddersfax a field because it's kind of Huddersfieldish.
Yeah. It's not a million miles away from you, Mike.
No, I know Slowett. I used to in a previous social care job. One of the people I used to look after, his mother used to live in Slowett, so I used to go there every Friday for fish and chips with his mum. It was great.
Can you recommend the fish and chip shop?
No, it was shit.
Okay. Fair enough.
My husband and the kids have just gone to get fish and chips, actually.
From that
I hope
fish shop?
there's like 3.
Yeah.
They've got excited about fish and chips here, so they've got a few more.
Good. Well, it's lovely to see you both. How are we doing? Alice, how's lockdown been?
Well, I'll say this really quick because it'll sound really depressing. I've had a really weird lockdown because I had a mastectomy just before it started.
Oh my goodness me.
And just as I were about to go back out into the world shut down.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Which was either a curse or a blessing.
Well, I had a mastectomy the last week in January, and I was just about ready to leave the house and start having a life again. And I hadn't left the house or anything because I couldn't. I was poorly. And then no one could go anywhere. So I've been on lockdown for ages.
So you're not vulnerable from that point of view, though, are you?
Well, I didn't get a letter. I didn't get the letter saying you can't leave the house.
Yeah.
But I did get, the government told Sainsbury's that I was vulnerable, so I get weekly shop, which made my life a lot easier.
That's good, yeah.
So I'm not as vulnerable as other people, and I go for a walk every day. But I have been being really careful. I haven't been in the supermarket since this started.
No.
I've had a weird lockdown, really, because I was just about to get well and go out there, and then there were no out there to go to.
But have you been working? Have you managed to work? Yeah.
I went back to work in May.
Okay.
March. Yeah, end of March, May, which was really bloody hard.
In what respect?
It's really hard if you have a gap from writing. You know, because your muscle goes.
Yeah.
I bet it's like that with acting. Your muscle goes. You have to really do it in a.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, I have to work for a few hours a day, and then it's just been really hard getting back to form. I mean, you know, to get into where I need to be. So I've got deadlines. Luckily, I'm working with really good people, and they've been really understanding with me. But I'm now at a point where I've just got to somehow start delivering the right thing. And I think a cross between not being very well at one point and fine now, and lockdown, I'm sure loads of people who write and do stuff at home have been completely knocked off. It's been grueling. I mean, this is not the happy, jolly chat you hope for, is it?
No, not at all. No.
It's a great start.
Yeah, we don't put any expectations on it whatsoever. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
It's fascinating, especially when you say that that actually coming out. Do you know, we have these conversations with a lot of different sort of creatives, and you know, it's interesting, the crossover, because I wouldn't have expected. I mean, with you being at home, and I know you haven't been well, but I wouldn't have necessarily expected you to say that it was a struggle to get back into it. I would have expected you to say, I think, to say, you know, it was such a relief and I just got straight back into it. And it's really interesting. It's that from that.
I sat the right number of hours every day, but I just banged my head on the keyboard until my head bled. You know,
what's the right number of hours? What does that mean?
Yeah, is that what I'm doing wrong?
Well, I've forced myself to write a certain number of pages every day, and I can't leave until I've done that. So it's at least bloody 7 hours.
Oh, God.
That's not nice. Honestly, and loads of writers I've talked to have struggled during lockdown. I've really struggled. It's bizarre because we do this all day.
Well, I know. You should be good at this stuff. You should be able to isolate and just get on with it. That's why it's really interesting, because for me, I've just been shite. I haven't done it. Other than doing this, I haven't done anything. Not really. I haven't even because we write a lot because we make show reels and short films and things. And I usually write usually write 3 or 4 scripts each a week. They're only short scripts, but I haven't even been doing that because I just couldn't be bothered.
Yeah. I've been really jealous of people pottering because I've not been able to potter. I've just had to bloody force myself to sit here doing it, and it's working. The muscles getting better, and it's, you know, I'm beginning to work more normally. I don't know what it would have been like if it hadn't been lockdown. I would have gone and sat in a writer's room for a start. Yeah. I find that really difficult, not being able to, you know, to sit in a writer's room with somebody else and work it out.
Yeah. Is that how you like to work? Do you like to work much more in collaboration rather than in solitary?
Well, I think all stuff in this industry is a collaboration at different points. Yeah, I think if you work with really good people and you discuss your ideas and you storyline it, it's much, much better than if you sat on your own. Same way, I think it's rare somebody who's a writer-director is as good as somebody who lets someone else look at the work. You know, somebody good.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I think it's always. I always find, because I'm not a writer. I write a little bit, but I'm not a writer at all. But I think it's always interesting talking to writers and about that moment of release as well, especially for theatre, and how different writers feel about that moment of release, that moment of saying, right, I've done my bit, now I'm handing it over, and how much not control, but how difficult that process potentially is.
I don't think it's difficult with theatre because that's a gang thing and you're there. People get a say and it either improves or it doesn't improve, and you can fix things in the thing. I think I love theatre for that gang thing. I find it quite difficult to let go of a script because as soon as you press send, you see all this stuff that you missed. You see what you should have done. And then so you're bombarding them with emails. I missed this bit, and they think you're insane.
Is there anything that you feel like you've missed before, but then you've seen it because it's been discovered in rehearsals or in productions before?
Yeah, a lot. There's, especially if you get a really good actor or a set of really good actors that are really open to trying something, and they'll suggest something. You can choose to do it or not choose to do it, but generally what I like rehearsals for is you can cut. You find any baggage and you can just cut away baggage. You know, you can really, just because of what the actors are doing, you realise exactly what's not needed. I think it'd be great if all writers got to sit in rehearsals and then the scripts would be 25 minutes shorter.
Yeah, at least.
Yeah.
At least. It's interesting because I've worked with a couple of writers who have different approaches from that point of view. From one point of view of that, no, that how it is how it is. I don't care what happens. I don't care what anybody says. And fair enough. And then writers like you've just described, like yourself, who were saying, okay, well, tell me a little bit more about that. What do you think about that? What do you think about that? And it's been much more collaborative from that point of view.
Especially when people are working really hard on it and they're going home on it and thinking about it. You just think, yeah, okay. I mean, and also you want it to when you're making something, you want it to be the best gang they've ever been in, and then they'll do the best. The last thing you want to say to somebody is, I'm not changing a word, because you're going to look like a right prick.
Well, yeah. I've been in a room where that's happened.
Yeah.
But, whatever. That's okay.
I want to say just quickly, Red Ladder Rod's been on, saying, Leanne, are you drinking beer in your car?
I'm in a camper van, Rob.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no, we weren't on air, were we? We were talking about the camper van. I was just about to say, if you'd tuned in earlier, Rod, you'd have heard. But
I'm not averse to it. I'm only joking. I'm just trying to follow the light. Such an actor. Just trying to find the light. Where the sun is.
Yes, good light.
Thanks.
While we're talking, while we're on with you there, Leanne, how has lockdown been for you with a young child?
Do you know what? Kind of in a different kind of tone, but similar kind of circumstance with you, Alice. I was all ready to get back out there again. I'd finished maternity leave. I'd given myself a year for Nia to concentrate on that, and I'd taken a few jobs that had kind of come up or were offered to me with companies that I knew and trusted, but I hadn't really put myself forward for a lot more other stuff until I knew that a year was out. And I had a beautiful year of work lined up. Some great companies, 154, who I've worked with a few times, who I just think are brilliant. I was supposed to be working with them this year. A lovely tour coming up. Some really nice stuff. And then when lockdown happened and all of that went, I think I kind of went through a bit of a grieving process with it, because it felt like I was ready to come back again, and I felt like I was really lucky to have been given these opportunities when I'd chosen to come back, that there were these opportunities for me to come back to, and then it went straight when we went into lockdown, and 4 months, my husband continued to work, and his work got busier during lockdown, so it was just me and her again, but obviously really concentrated. And I have to say, now that we're out of it, it was a blessing. She changed so much. She went from a year to a year and a half, and that 6 months, she's just come on loads. So it was beautiful to see all of that happen, but there were times when I was like, I just need this day to end. It was, they were long days, and just trying to find things to do and ways to keep yourself amused. I think we were incredibly lucky and gifted from Mother Nature to give us a beautiful spring, so that the weather just definitely helped us get out, and that lifts the spirits every time, doesn't it?
Because your husband works in medical, doesn't he? Does he? Cytogenetics. So he actually works for a company who were supplying tests and swabs and analysis machines for COVID-19. So as soon as this happened, busy.
So sometimes he wasn't finished until 10, 11 o'clock at night, and he was whacked, and it was just hard to find that balance between needing time for myself, but also recognizing that, his work was super busy, and he'd only started the job a month beforehand as well. He started with another company. Yeah. So we had a moment of being a bit freaked out, thinking he would have been completely bypassed with the furlough scheme and everything, if they decided to start kind of doling out redundancies or anything like that. Kind of think first in, well, last in, first out kind of thing. But the company we were really, really busy. So, and then he had something to prove, I guess. So,
Yeah.
So that was tough. But yeah, no, I found a lot. I spent the first month or so watching people jump at the chance to be productive. All of these things flying at me through social media, and that of how we're going to stay productive, what are we going to do now, how are we going to attack this, and I spent the whole time going, I've got nothing in me. I have absolutely no desire whatsoever to do anything. Like, it just took a while for me to digest what was going on, and it freaked me out what was happening, and the fact that I couldn't see family anymore, and I was really worried for I've got quite a lot of family who are 70 plus, so that it kind of was like, we just need to settle down here. And for me personally, I was letting go of the work that I had planned, but also just try to stay positive, don't you? But then some days you're like, oh, done.
Yeah, it's hard, and it has been hard, I think, for a lot of people. We were talking about, I mean, it's interesting, you've got a young child. Mike's daughter is a similar age, a bit younger, and I've got a 10-year-old and a 14-year-old, and it's interesting to see the effects that it's had on them. And I imagine that it's almost been quite a positive experience for younger kids. When I say young, I mean sort of 2, maybe and under, 3 and under, who wouldn't normally have been at school and things like that. But the way that my kids, I think, have managed has been a bit of an inspiration, really, because it could be quite easy, and I'm sure kids have had meltdowns, and mine really haven't. They've coped really well, and I know that they're struggling because we all struggle at times. But that, in many respects, for me, has been a bit of an inspiration, because I've looked at them completely thrown out of their normality, their friends, the social aspect of what they do on a day-to-day basis, and they've coped really well. And sometimes I've sat here in my little pokey office doing whatever and just felt really sorry for myself, and I couldn't be bothered, to do a monologue or to do, they're all doing that, and I was thinking, I can't be asked to do that. And then I look at my kids and go, actually, pull yourself together. And I know that's not a great thing to say, pull yourself together, but I just felt quite inspired by them.
I think it's allowing those waves, isn't it? There came a point, probably about a month and a half, a couple months in, where a friend started to say to me, we're doing this, or there was some training happening and some online courses, and that felt like the right time to kind of get back into it again. And actually, that's when I really needed it. I needed it for myself, and it was that balance of going. It become all about being a mum to Nia again, and I needed to allow that bit of space, really, for then to me go, oh, actually, do you know what? I need to do something for me now. And because Ian had started to settle into his job, it allowed him a bit more space throughout the day to take an hour here, half an hour here, whatever. And then you just gradually I started to find a rhythm with lockdown, and start to embrace the changes, and like you say with the kids, because we were there all the time, Nia started walking in that time, she started saying words in that time, and all of those things, these changes that start to happen, you're kind of going, oh, I might not have been there for those things that happened first time, but because we were there all the time, then we did. So yeah, I didn't do any baking though.
I did at first. I was like a lunatic. I was like somebody. I thought I was in the Second World War. I got a cookbook out from 1940s, and I would have baked with a bit of string, and I made the worst sort of baking you've ever seen. And the really good bit for lockdown is we've tried to make each other really nice food. There's 3 of us. There's me, Kira, and our 20-year-old daughter. My daughter's really struggling now. She's had enough of being locked up with her mum and dad. Yeah. She's done really well up until last month. Yeah. And then the last month she just wants to go back to university and have a life, because she's not been able to see anybody because we've been careful because of me.
Despite all the baking that you've been doing?
There are. If you actually looked on the internet, there's not lovely pictures of baking. There's things that look like deflated sofas. It's the exact opposite of somebody who puts something up you're jealous of. Did you see them ones in The Guardian where they showed baking fails? Most of them were nowhere near as bad as mine. I made a souffle that just looked like cat stick.
You must have mastered something though. You must have nailed something.
I'm a good cook. It gets to lockdown. Honestly, I don't bake. I only do savoury. You see.
Mm.
Right. Okay. So, what's your savoury dish? Tell us your savoury. What's your speciality?
Cook an array of savoury. But I couldn't cook a souffle. That were my souffle were an epic fail. Okay. I made a loaf.
Right there, Alice, though, didn't you? You aimed high with a souffle.
Yeah, I want to say they're witchcraft souffles. They have to be.
They are. Honest to God, they are. Because the stuff I weren't attempting normal stuff. Because we eat normal stuff every day. We're like, oh, okay, we've got some bread. We're not going to eat our bread. We've got some flour. Oh, we've got some dates. We'll have date bread. I don't bake cakes. I've only baked about 8 cakes in my life. 4 of them have been in lockdown.
and yet you thought it'd be a good idea to try.
Of course. Well, people were doing all sorts. People were, honestly, you said people
don't bow to the pressure. You don't have to bow to the pressure of other people.
Also, I was in a panic because I thought the food were going to run out. I don't know about anybody else, but at the start of lockdown, I was utterly, completely freaked out about food. I won't let anybody waste anything.
Well, it's interesting you say that because there's a portion of my family, my wife's family, who were Mormons, and so I was never worried because they've got loads of food just sort of locked away, ready for this point. So I thought if the food runs out, I'm straight over there raiding their larder. We'll be fine.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Kate Roberts has jumped in the chat and said souffles are overrated anyway. So there we go.
Fair enough. Okay.
Fair enough.
Hi, Kate. Nice to see you. Listen, I haven't asked you one question yet, and it's now 8:30. So let me jump into a question. And while I'm with you, Alice, let me ask you: can we have a song for our isolation playlist, please?
Yeah, it's Kate Tempest.
Oh yes.
And it's Faces.
Yes, very nice, very nice.
Because it makes you less isolated, that song.
Why?
Because it reminds you of how it feels to be and to look at with other people. There's a bit where she says she's standing in the train station, I can't remember it word for word, breaking down because she's looking at people's faces. And every time I hear that bit, I just think, oh, crash, yeah. I'm almost scared of seeing other people. It's been so long. And yet I'm craving other people. Yeah,
it is interesting that because my parents they did a self-imposed lockdown and a few weeks ago, my brothers were saying no, there's no point you going out. Well, more than a few weeks ago actually. Don't go out. We'll do your shopping. Blah 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 blah. And I started saying I think you need to get out. I think you need to because what's going to happen is that you're going to end up being afraid of going out, or I'm scared that you're going to be afraid of going out, and you need to do something. You need to even just go for a walk a bit further than you were walking before, just into town to see people, to get around people, because it's how we see it happening with kids as well. I've spoken to quite a few other parents who have said that some of their younger children are just nervous about going out. They don't want to go anywhere. They don't want to do anything, and that's frightening. I do love Kate Tempest. I've not listened to Kate Tempest for a long time, and you've just brought that memory back, and it's a lovely song. His Faces, very nice. Thank you, Leanne. What you got for us?
Pressure Drop by Toots and the Maytals.
I don't know. I don't know this.
No.
Oh, you don't know it? Oh my God, you do. When you hear it, you'll know it.
It's my tune that lifts us up whenever there's a moment or times or anything where, you just get that moment where you're starting to feel a little bit tight-chested or your heart's pounding, stick it on, bounce around, and let it out.
So, can you sing it for us?
No. I'm gonna drop on you. There you go.
Oh, I only got the drop on you. So I'll definitely know it, will I? I'll definitely know that.
Yeah, you should be.
Okay.
The Clash did a version of it.
Yes.
The Clash did
The
a
Clash
version
did a
of it.
version.
Okay, but we're not going for the Clash's version. We're going for who?
Toots and the Maytals.
Toots and the Maytals.
Are you writing this down, Lee? So in about an hour's time when we're talking, you're not going to say to me, what were these songs?
Yes, I've written them down.
Every week. He pretends to write them down and then he says to me, what were their songs? And I'm like, I ain't got a clue.
I'm writing them down. Shut up, leave me alone.
Giving away trade secrets.
I've lost my thing now. Okay, right. So, Leanne, sticking with you. Most coronavirus thing you've done in lockdown?
So it wasn't baking. I think it was just freak out. I had a moment to freak out. I freaked out for a bit and went, no, I'm not. I rebelled against productivity.
Nice. I like that.
I think that was the most coronavirus thing I did, which I think quite a lot of people have gone through. I then embraced productivity, but yeah, at one point I was just like, no, I don't want to.
I like that. I'm happy with that. Yeah, I think that was good because I think I did that. I was taking the piss a lot out of the amount of monologues from actors that were hitting social media, and I was taking the piss out from the point of view, not from the point of view of actors doing it. I have no problem with that. But you do whatever you need to do to keep active and whatever else. But it just felt like. It's like, what's it for? Why are you doing it? What? And I think it was because I felt that pressure. I felt that pressure of saying, maybe I should do that. Maybe I should be doing it. So I'm yeah.
Like the last couple of months, I've done stuff and really loved it and enjoyed it. But for the first couple of months, didn't need it at all.
Also, I got slightly burned because I thought, well, I will do something, but I don't want to do a monologue. No, it was really shit. And somebody sent me, but that was something else. So somebody got in touch with me and said, "Will you film this scene? I'm doing this sort of this lockdown, putting a show together." So it wasn't a monologue. It was part of an episode type thing. And I went, "Oh yeah, I'll do that." So she sent me the script and I learned it and I filmed it, and she never replied. She never downloaded it. She never replied. And I thought, oh my God.
Did you know her?
No, I didn't know her. I didn't know her. No, I didn't know her. And you just think, first of all, how fucking rude. But second of all, it's just like, wow. So then I thought to myself, okay, so what she's done is she's contacted a load of actors and she's gone, will you do this? And then she's just chosen the one that she wanted. But I've no idea where it is. And you just kind of think, okay, wow. What was you also have I can't remember off the top of my head, but but you also have that moment of, oh, she didn't actually just pick me. It was just sort of a random thing. So then you have that moment of, okay, maybe I'm just really shit. Whatever.
Well, she never downloaded it, so she never saw it, so you can't say shit.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate that.
She never downloaded it.
Not as far as I'm aware. You send the WeTransfer link and it tells you. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I never got it.
Do you know what? I'm a bit worried. I think she might be dead.
She might be. Who knows? I'll have a look. I'll double check that she's not dead. And if she's not dead, I'll abuse her on social media because that's what we do these days, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. Alice, most coronavirus thing? We'd already talked about this. Is it the baking?
Yeah, baking basically. Baking, and I make industrial quantities of hand sanitizer.
What you make it? How do you make it?
I buy alcohol that's like 99% alcohol,
Right.
aloe vera,
The bits
organic
you don't drink.
milk, and then
You
I
have
fill it
the-
all up into hand sanitizers, and I give it to my friends.
So what do you use to thicken it?
Aloe vera,
Oh, aloe vera. Okay.
and also I do a few drops of Nalgard Organic Defense Spray.
As you would.
Yeah.
Before
cool.
coronavirus, I just used to use vodka. But with coronavirus, I buy industrial strength alcohol.
And what's the difference?
So that's pretty.
That's
Yeah.
impressive. How much can you churn out a week? Did you make a few quid?
Oh no, just give them away.
Oh. And what's your production line like? How much are we talking? Can you make quite a bit?
Yeah, well, it's not cheap. The industrial alcohol for that much is about a tenner.
Oh, right.
But
Okay.
them little bottles, if you buy Nels Yard, they're really expensive.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
I don't know. I give them away free, and I bought plastic bottles off the internet to put them
And
in little spray ones.
you give them away. You give them away free. I
Yeah.
reckon you'd have got a fiver a pop for them, easy.
Yeah. Height of lockdown.
Yeah. I am going to head for business.
Okay, fair enough. I do think that's the best answer we've had there. I don't think we've had anybody on who's been making their own hand sanitizer. To be fair, most of the other guests that we've had on, that alcohol wouldn't have lasted long enough to go into the hand sanitizer.
There'd have been a few pina coladas with that.
Yeah, there would.
There's a callback.
So talking about the height of lockdown. What about toilet rolls, Leanne? How many toilet rolls did you have in the house?
Yeah, we didn't panic buy toilet rolls.
Yeah.
I think like a couple of weeks beforehand, I'd bought or maybe a week beforehand, I bought like a 9 roller, and we were like, it's all right.
Yeah, fair enough.
Hang on, 1 minute.
Oh, we've got there's a story coming. Oh,
Does she make her own
Nice.
toilet roll?
that's what all them books are in the background.
Ta-da,
Oh yes,
yes.
absolutely. Okay, so we've got
I
12
buy
back
in
in
bulk from Suma. I didn't even panic buy.
from Suma.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. We've not heard. We've heard of Don't Give a Crap or whatever they are. What are they called, Mike?
All food
Yeah.
cooperative. I didn't even buy in bulk for coronavirus. I buy them in toilet rolls and kitchen rolls anyway. I were fine. I could be crapping till 2021 and I'd be fine.
So hang on a minute. So if you buy, do you get one of them a week, or what are we talking?
Do a Suma order about every 6 weeks.
Okay. And what's Suma? Is it just toilet roll and kitchen roll? Is that what that is?
It's tins. See, especially after the thing, bought me
Yeah.
tins in bulk.
Yeah. Fair enough.
So
Okay.
no, it's all whole food and tins and everything else. And they weren't accepting new members during coronavirus, but because I've done it for years, bought in bulk. So I were having food panic when I've got a cupboard full of tins.
Right.
Like a macro.
And
Yeah, it's like macro, but it's for whole foods,
right.
and they
Right.
deliver.
And so, I stopped myself saying, do they do chicken and fish as well? But never mind. So how many toilet rolls are we talking that you had at the peak of? What we talking? Give us a number.
Well, I generally buy this times
Yeah.
10 pack.
Times 10.
But that's not for coronavirus. That's just what I buy. I mean, I've done that for years.
That times 10.
That's
Yeah,
120 toilet rolls.
yeah.
Oh my
that's
God.
Champions League. That.
That's on a different scale.
Because that is only, you get basically five of them packs in a big pack. So I
Yeah.
buy that twice. That's not coronavirus. That's just what I did before.
That's just your toilet habits. I get that. That's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So what? Again, the question remains: where the fucking hell do you keep them?
In my cellar.
Obviously.
Yeah.
And also,
Obvious.
them were waiting to go into the ladies. Ladies. I haven't got a gents and a ladies. That's why they were there.
You've got a gents and a ladies.
It might not have a sign, but
I wish I had a urinal.
So do I.
Yeah.
Not that I've ever been to your house, but just that idea. I've always thought if I had a few quid and I got a really big house, I'd get, especially because I've got 2 boys, we'd get a urinal because that would save a
get
lot
like
of mess.
one of the old tiled Victorian ones where it's just a trough. So rather than an individual thing, just get like a gutter and a tiled wall.
Like they used to have in China Whites. I don't know whether you ever went in China Whites in London. In China Whites, not that you two will have ever been in the gents' toilets in China Whites. I wouldn't have thought. Who knows? But in there, it used to be, whether it still is, in the late 90s, it was like a waterfall. It was a waterfall into sort of some pebbles, the urinal. It was beautiful, all lit. I was taking a lot of drugs at the time, quite possibly, so it might
have just been a normal shitty tiled trough with a couple of urinal cakes in. Oh, look at these pebbles. Aren't they beautiful? It's a urinal cake, Lee. Stop
Anyway,
eating
They
it.
were kidney stones.
Quite possibly. Quite possibly. 120 toilet rolls, though. That
That wasn't coronavirus. I had them before.
Still counts. Still counts.
I hear the pride in your voice. I get it. I'm just saying that the most we've had so far is 55. So you've you
walked the league.
And I was looking down my nose at people rushing around supermarkets being selfish because I'd been selfish for years.
Tilting at people. Look at them.
Oh dear.
Nice.
Throwing another bog roll on fire. Yeah. Look at them. Oh.
Yeah. Oh, well, you live and learn, ultimately. Very good. Okay. Well, that was the toilet roll. Getting on to something probably a little bit more serious. Maybe not more serious. Who knows? Favorite industry moment. I'll stick with you, Alice.
No, go to Leanne first because I'm just gabbing all the time.
Leanne, give me a favourite industry moment.
Oh man, it's tough. There's two moments that I can yeah. I mean, I wrote it down, then I've changed my mind. So I once I did a play with 154 a few years back called Under the Bed, and it was a semi-improvised performance nightly around a script structure. Emily, who was my co-star, that's not what you should say, is it? My ensemble.
It can be co-star if you want.
Well, she was an 8-year-old little girl. She upstaged me every night. The whole premise of it was to keep the script kind of loose to enable us to be pretty, naturalistic. And I remember rehearsals for that, and it was the first time I'd worked in the way that they work, which was so generous towards what I wanted to put into it. And the questions of, because we were writing it ourselves as we were going along, and how to make it work with a child on stage as well. We were a mum and daughter. And it was a terrifying experience for the first half of rehearsals because I was like, give me a script, let me learn my lines, and let me do what I do. And that job really helped me, I think, to gain some trust in me as an artist, and that company especially, who've been totally supportive throughout my career now. But yeah, that was a big moment for me of going, we're going to be partly improvising it every night. All right, okay, in front of paying audiences. Terrifying, absolutely terrifying. And each time I had to battle that and loved it, absolutely loved it. of not quite knowing what was going to happen, and it kept us very much alive on stage. And then I think another one similar to that, Lee, was actually Ref, that me and you worked on with Rod. Hi, Rod. Are you still here? Has he gone? Because me and Rod had worked together with Red Ladder before and Shed Crew, which was an ace venture. But Rod started working in a new kind of way, didn't he, with the wheeling technique?
What's the wheelers technique?
The wheeling technique.
Wheeling.
It's very much about working on impulse, on what draws you forward, what draws you back, and it strips away the words. And I've been doing a lot of Meisner training alongside it with both feet, who brilliant, again, mind-blowing moments. But the wheeling technique really helped us to connect with the impulses within the characters, as opposed to thinking about what words you're going to say, what you're waiting to hear, what you're wanting to say back. And that with on that job, because it was only quite a small little job, wasn't it? And we didn't do many performances at all, but being in that rehearsal room opened up for me. It was like, this is the way I love to work, this is the way I like to rehearse. It gave much more ownership over each moment being fresh and new, and finding those moments, as opposed to making preconceived ideas of what you're going to do. So that all kind of aligned for me at those moments in time.
Yeah, no, it was really lovely. It's the first time I've worked like that as well on Ref, and actually we used it again with Natasha Harrison when we worked at Oldham Coliseum on 4 minutes 12 seconds. And essentially, Alice, what the whole technique is based around, you record the script of I don't know, a unit or a couple of units rather than a scene. So you might do 3 or 4 pages, and you read it and record it. And then listen to the recording back on your feet, and so just think about it from a physical point of view. So you're hearing yourself say the lines.
You don't say the words, you just move.
You just move. So you're hearing yourself say the lines via the recording that you've just done, but then you just think about it physically, and then the idea is that you bring, eventually you bring the two things together. And it is a really interesting way of working. And it certainly was on 4 minutes 12 seconds. The script was so fast, so wordy. It had a real rhythm to it. And when we first started, I said to Natasha, I'm not sure how this is going to work, because the whole script revolved around these two characters having this real banter for the to and fro, and the first scene in that play is about 25 minutes long, and I was just thinking, I don't know how this is going to work, and it works really, really well, because it just gets you into the mindset of the thought process and the impulses, rather than in that first instance as an actor worrying about, as Leanne just said, worrying about what's my next line, what do I say next, and just getting you out of your head from that point of view. So yeah, no, it was great. It was great. Thank you. Alice?
And my favourite industry thing were working on Trust, which is the series I did for FX that I were going to just write 2 episodes, but I ended up being involved in writing 4 of them and doing all the post-production stuff, and so I worked all the way through, rather than just being somebody who were drafted in to write a couple. I became much more involved in the production, and they gave me producer credit. I learned so much, and with this time that on somebody else's show, I would give them free rein to think in a really cinematic way, and because I knew I was working with people who were better than me, it gave me a bar to hit. And so it took nearly 2 years working on that show, and I absolutely loved every minute of it. I loved the people, and I've carried on working with Simon since then. I feel really lucky. I should pay him sometimes, I think. No,
well, Wikipedia says that you're working with him on something at the moment. Is that
does
correct?
it? Does Wikipedia say that? I have put that on Wikipedia. Somebody else put that there. Yeah, I am, but I can't say what it is.
Okay,
It's
fair enough.
for effects again.
Okay, fair enough. And the post production stuff from a writing point of view, how does that work? What are you involved with from that point of view? Are we talking sort of through the editing process and through?
Yeah, I worked with even on the ones that I hadn't written, because it was such a big job. In the end, me and Simon, I worked on ones that I hadn't written. And the director might want changes, and I would rewrite them changes because the initial writer had gone.
Right, I see. Yeah, yeah.
And a lot of it was in Italian, and I did all the, the Italian actors did it in subtitles. I wrote all the subtitles, which is a lot bigger job than you think it is going to be, because you've got to make it into drama, because basically people will say whatever they want to say given the chance.
So do you speak Italian?
Do a fuck. It was translated into English, and I made it into...
They could have been saying anything, and you're just typing the script.
No, somebody translate it, and so the line somebody might have been required to say, oh my God, you banged my father up the arse, and instead they'd said, well, they wouldn't be required to say that. I was just exactly comic effect, but. Instead, they said, oh my God, my part's not big enough. I'm just about to make it much, much bigger by falling about and doing this.
Yeah. You've just reminded me of something, actually, but I'll come back to that in a second. So, is producing something that you want to do a bit more of?
Well, I'm not really a producer. I've got a producer's credit on the thing I'm working with Simon now. I want to be more involved in the process because I want to understand the process. And I don't want to direct. I'm too old. If I were younger, I think no, it's such a skill. Honestly, it's like writing or being an actor. You can't just walk in and do it. You've got to learn your craft.
Directing's a doddle.
No, is it?
Else points your camera, they focus it. Anybody can be a director. I'm only kidding, obviously, Rod. I'm only kidding.
You want to understand it, don't you? You want to understand how it works as a whole, and you want to carry on having an input to have a say how it is from beginning to end. So these are not my shows, so I was lucky to be able to work with somebody who let me have that. A bigger voice in it, really.
Yeah. We had Lisa Holdsworth on a few weeks ago. Lisa was saying that she's doing a lot more executive producer, executive writing, producing as well, and that whole side of the industry. Because I've done a little bit of directing, and obviously Mike and I have a small production company, so we do a little bit of shooting and writing and things like that. But that whole post, especially when it comes to bigger productions, the whole post-production stuff fascinates me. And the amount of people involved and the things that happen. Because obviously as an actor, when you work on things, you go in and you do your bit and then you go home, and then 6 months later you see it on the television or whatever. But it is fascinating that. And if I wasn't so entrenched in this fantasy of being an actor, I think it'd be something I'd really like to do.
Yeah, well, it's because before what I'd always thought when I worked in a job is you do a certain thing and then they take it away from you, especially TV. Theatre's different. Once it's been shot, no one's ever let me be involved. And then suddenly it was like, oh, it doesn't end there after all. There's an edit. There's you get a say on how the whole thing turns out. And these decisions still keep mattering. Yeah,
absolutely. Which sort of leads me on. I will stick with you, Alice, if that's all right. Which sort of leads me on to the industry generally. What are your hopes for coming out? As we start to go back and start to film again, and things start to happen. What are your hopes and fears?
I mean, my biggest fear is for freelancers. That's the production companies who work with people regular won't look out for them enough. That that there just isn't enough sport, and I'm always surprised when I talk to people that are not in unions. Whatever you're doing, for God's sake, join a union. You know, in this industry, and people. I'm on the phone to somebody who I'm just assuming will be part of Writers Guild, and they're not, because there's no safeguards. So my hopes are that people who don't need to look out for each other will, and I just don't think it'll happen. Because there's going to be a massive shortage of money, and there's going to be another recession coming. So I'm terrified of it. I mean, I think I'll be all right, but it's not about me.
Yeah. I think it's interesting, isn't it? Because, and again, I can only talk from my perspective, but in some respects, I've been really lucky because as an actor, I have, maybe luck isn't the right word. I've worked bloody hard, but, you know, there is an element of fortune. There's an element of luck, I suppose. But for the last 3 years, I've worked pretty constantly, and thank the Lord that I have, because if I hadn't, I wouldn't be getting any kind of support. And I know lots of my friends and colleagues who are getting no support. Thankfully, they have done it on the last 3 years and not the 3 years previous to that, because if they'd done it 3 years previous to that, quite frankly, I'd have been fucked. And you think about the people that even I, doing a lot of theatre, do regular work for, and so far, actually, lots of those institutions, when they've had a little pot of money to be able to do something, they've reached out to me. So I've been very grateful from that point of view. So they've sort of shared that a little bit. But you do worry about, and I think about a lot of my colleagues who do panto, for example, and, you know, that's unlikely to happen. And you think, I wonder if those theatres get the support to help them get through that period of panto, will that filter into the actors that they usually use, or not just the actors, but the other creatives, the designers, and you're right. I don't think it will, because everybody's so worried about protecting themselves.
Do you know what I hope? I look at Slung Low and I think they're a complete inspiration. But the way they're setting up, you know, not just feeding people, but the way that they're setting up theatre, so that it's outside with a certain number of people. There's still opportunities for people to go, for people to work. I hope it'll be like that, but I very much doubt that old buildings will take that approach.
No,
they were doing all of that beforehand, weren't they? You know, and it's a real investment from them as a company, from them as people. You know, and those companies that have an investment, I think, in the communities, and genuinely care about what's going on with the people around them, will keep on doing what they do. It's the bigger, more insular kind of companies that, unfortunately, you feel may get the bigger pots of the money, and that's a real imbalance, and that kind of doesn't sit right. It worries me as well with that.
It certainly, it almost feels like this phrase, the crown jewels, need to be protected. This phrase, the crown jewels, needs to be revisited. Well, because my idea of the crown jewels is probably not the same as their idea of the crown jewels.
But I think the buildings are going to have to take their work out of the buildings, because there's no way you can get the audience in and social distance. And Leeds Playhouse have done more taking it out the buildings the last 2 years than the 10 years before that. You know, since James Brennan come in, that's a change. But there is no option but to take things out of the buildings now, because we're not allowed in the buildings. We'll kill each other.
Yeah. Well, to quote Rod, our friend Rod Digson, he said, I hope you don't mind me quoting you, Rod. It's not word for word, so you have to give me a little bit of leeway on that. But he said something along the lines of, you know, a lot of the buildings have been going on for years, how they've been altering their audiences, that they've been reaching out, and well, now the proof will be in the pudding. Have they really been doing that, or were they pulling the wool over people's eyes? It will be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what the buildings do, because you're absolutely right. They can't carry on the way that they were, because even if they could open up, the majority of their audience probably wouldn't come back, because people like my parents, they're not going to go and sit in an auditorium,
Yes.
65 plus, because they're scared, because of that reason, because they don't want to kill each other. Why would they? So interesting. All right, Leanne, anything else to add to that? Hopes and fears?
The hope is that we will be able to support each other, and the connections that we've already made, and I think we've just spoken about our fears, but yeah, for the hopes is, I feel lucky to be a part of a tight community, and I know some awesome people, and I fear for the freelancers, similarly to you, Alice. I wouldn't have had any money. I haven't had any money because I've been on maternity leave, and then I was pregnant, so my last 3 years screwed. Similarly lucky to have a partner who has managed to maintain a full-time job, so we're all right in that sense. But I hope that we can work our innovative ways, the way that we manage to keep on, because as artists, inevitably we come up against shit all the time, and we wouldn't still be here if we didn't have it in us to battle on and to keep going and find ways to make it work. So I feel like if I was going to do it with any group of people, then we're kind of within the best group of people to have a go at it.
Nice.
Here. And a couple of people, which obviously I won't put these words in your mouth, Leanne, but a couple of people have been on and also said that hopefully there might be a few people within their casting bracket that might drop out now. So there'd be more work for me. And obviously, I wouldn't condone such a comment, but that might happen. Who knows?
I mean, it's mainly you who's been saying that every week.
That's not true.
I'm a bit shocked at that.
No, honestly, 2 people have actually said that. A little bit tongue in cheek, obviously. And to be fair, I think that when Paul Fox said it, I think he was referring to me. I think he was hoping that I dropped out, because I don't know why, because we're not the same actor at all. We're not the same casting bracket at all. But we often get put up for similar jobs. So I think he was hoping that I was going to drop out. So he can get fucked anyway.
I've dropped 1 F-bomb all episode, and you've dropped about 6.
I have not. I think that's only 2 or 3.
No,
it's fine. Anyway, it was in context. Is
that what Michael's been writing down? You've been writing that down, Mike?
Yeah. He's been keeping
right, score.
Okay, look, I'm just looking at the time. Thank you. I really appreciate your time. Thank you very much. Last question to you. Actually, no, I have got 2 more questions, but the last one's very short. Last question. I'll stick with you, Leanne. What's been your vice through lockdown? What has got you through lockdown, or what is getting you through lockdown?
It's alcohol in it.
I don't know.
My family.
My family, yeah, obviously. Are we talking about the type of alcohol that Alice was talking about?
It's all going in here.
All going in there.
Yeah, fair time.
Fair enough. What are we talking? Are we talking more than normal, or?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
To begin with, it was a bit like, it felt a bit like a holiday. We were like, "Wow, what else is there to do?" Me and Ian we just babbling all the time every night. So there was kind of a real excitement, anxiety. You wanted a 1-word answer, didn't you, to this?
Not at all. No, not.
Yeah, it's taken an edge off some days.
Now, if you were drinking more alcohol than you normally would, were you? And you can just give me a yes or no to this. Were you having to go to different shops because you didn't want to see how much alcohol you were buying? Was it that bad?
No, we just alternated who went shopping every week.
Okay, fair enough. All right. Alice, is it baking? Have we had this?
No, it's shit, non-challenging TV where normal people are up against each other in competitive situations. Well, there's two. There's Ninja Warrior, which I absolutely love.
Yeah.
And which you aren't really normal people. They're absolute obsessives who spent the last 2 years trying to get up a greasy pole.
Yeah.
For some bizarre reason. Ninja Warrior. And then anything competitive where you don't win much at the end and it's the greatest challenge yet. And that just doesn't include There's MasterChef, there's Sewing Bee, there's Pottery Throwdown. Because for a while, I actually couldn't handle heavy news. I think I felt traumatised by the mastectomy. And then that came on the top. And all I could manage were the sort of gentlest thing ever. Yeah. Where someone weren't going to kill themselves if they lost.
Yeah, but you say that, but like MasterChef, it stresses me out.
Well, Greg Wallace making sex noises.
Oh,
That stresses me. And every
that little grin on his face.
Something gives him a good feel and does the same joke. No, don't look at that picture of myself.
Whatever gets you through lockdown, I suppose.
Yeah.
And I can tell I'm getting all right now because I can actually watch more challenging telly. Yeah, it took now.
Now I have to say, because you've just reminded me again about not challenging telly, although it is a little bit challenging. But you reminded me about when you were saying you were doing the subtitles for the Italian. And have either of you, or in fact, Mike, we haven't spoken about this either. Have you seen Comrade Sergeant on Amazon Prime?
No. Where is it?
Okay, so
my friend Hillary told me to watch this. Actually, I've just remembered. You go on, talk about it.
Right. So it starts off
Russian Revolution,
but Hungarian.
Right.
So it starts off, and it's Channing Tatum, and
I'm sold.
I think. And I think it's the director. No, this is before the program starts. They're sat in a cinema, right? And they're just talking to camera, and they're saying, "Look, we've finally managed to get hold of this Hungarian cop show, which is essentially like Starsky and Hutch. This Hungarian cop show from the 80s, which was commissioned and made by the communist government, which was about to be overthrown." When the wall came down and everything else. And the reason that the communist government in Hungary made this program was to promote communism against capitalism and specifically America. And so they sat there and they said, look, we found it, we've remastered it, and we've dubbed it. And we're releasing it. So Channing Tatum does one of the main characters, and there's loads of other people that do the others.
Is it a bit like The Flashing Blade, if you remember when they used to show that on Saturday mornings? Which was like an 80s Spanish kind of Civil War-ish kind of thing. And it was dubbed over with, like, what was the program? With Jean-Paul Gaultier and the guy from Rapido.
Oh, Eurotrash.
Yeah, and they used to do that with kind of northern accents, and they used to dub over
They used to do porn films. They used to go to porn shoots.
Yeah.
Didn't they?
And the Flashing Blade was similar to that, where they used to just get northern people to kind of just make these ridiculous things. Like somebody would just walk up to like a castle and it'd have no doorway, and it'd just be like, somebody's nicked my door. Who's there? The entire episode is about finding his door.
Right.
You were around here, go find my door.
It's not quite like that. Because so they said, we found this series, and I think it's 9 parts or something like that, and so this program starts, and then we see this unfolding, and there's all sorts of stuff going on. Anyway, as you're watching it, it's sort of like an Hungarian version of Police Squad, but dubbed, right? Brilliant. And you're watching it going, this can't be real. It can't be real. I mean, they're saying things like there's a murder, and the police commissioner gets all these police officers in this room, and he says, I know everybody is upset because we don't have crime in Romania. Is it Romania, Hungary? Oh, it's one of them. We don't have crime. And they're all, yeah. And somebody says, I think this must have been done by somebody that knows the system. He said, are you saying this is an inside job? No, don't be ridiculous. There are no bent coppers in Romania. And it's stuff like that you kind of go, okay, so this is made by a communist government, sort of saying that Romania is, I think it's Romania, not Hungary, is amazing. Anyway, it turns out it's not real. And what they've done is, I know, right? But if you Wikipedia, if you Google it, you find out. And so what they've done is they've written this show.
Google anything, I'll find out. I just don't Google shit I want to watch.
No, I know. Well, watch it anyway because I think it's brilliant. My wife thinks it's awful, but anyway,
I'm sold.
So they've made it, and it's very much an 80s, Starsky and Hutch style cop show, and they then transferred it into Hungarian. Is it Hungarian, Romanian? Oh, one of them.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. They've transferred it into whatever, and then they've got those actors do it from whatever country it is. It's all filmed and everything, and then they've transferred it back and dubbed over the top of it. But it is brilliant. It is brilliant.
Well, I'm going to watch one episode and see. I like Mrs. America at the moment.
That's good. That is good. I've only watched the first episode, but that is good.
I've not watched anything. I'm desperate to watch Michaela Cole's I Will Destroy You. I'm desperate to watch that because that looks amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, it's good.
Yeah, and she's great. So
yeah,
I have another vice. I've realised. I know no one wants to go backwards, but I've started to learn Makaton through Mr. Tumble.
Of course you have. Because everybody does.
So,
what's Makaton?
It's sign language, basically.
Sign language for
sorry.
A lot with children, but Mr. Tumble is on in our house a lot. Nia loves it. So we, so I'm pretty much halfway there.
Yeah, my daughter started doing Friends.
Friends.
Yeah.
The only bit of sign language that I know, is that.
Fun.
Pissed.
Drunk.
Yeah.
Is that drunk? Really?
Drunk. Yeah.
Oh, we haven't been through that one yet.
Yeah, that's drunk. I don't think Justin will do that.
No.
I don't think he'll do that one. Very good.
Thanks.
Listen, thank you so much. It's 9:15. I've kept you for longer than I intended to, but it's been absolute pleasure having you on. Thank you so much.
It's so nice to go out.
Yeah.
I haven't. In fact, I have. Can I just ask you one more question, Alice?
Yeah.
Just because before anybody comes on, obviously I internet stalk everyone, and obviously when I put your name in, what was the first thing that popped up?
The witch.
The witch.
Because I chose my own name when I was.
I know. Just tell us about the witch briefly.
She was one of the last women to be hung for witchcraft. Alice Nutter in Lancashire. I'm from Burnley, and she was in Crossdale, which is about 8 miles away. But my Sunday school teacher was one of her descendants.
Whoa.
Is this the Pendle Hill?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so when we first started releasing records, I changed my name by default so the doll wouldn't get me, which was stupid because they also changed my doll name as well.
Brilliant.
So, were you always going to choose? Were you going to do that anyway, and you just chose that one, or did you know that and you thought I'm having that?
No. Honestly, the list of names that I got for myself, one of them were Nutty Slack, and the other were Dolores de Bump.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. That's a completely different.
I was just a punk basically, thinking, well, I'm gonna have a punk name.
I love that.
Also,
But I was so serious about it, I instantly went to a lawyer and changed it.
That's funny that you paid a lawyer to change your name to get away from the doll.
Yeah, exactly.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
I couldn't let that go without because then the funny thing was that it popped up and I thought, oh, that's interesting because I love stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then as I was reading it down, because I thought it was just a coincidence. I was reading it down. It then said, "Oh," and I was, "Oh, right, okay, great." What would you change your name to, Mike?
I'll think about it.
Okay.
I don't know.
My dad always said he'd like to have been a Roger.
Oh.
Roger.
Really? What was his name?
Bob. Robert.
Bob. I like Bob better.
Yeah, I do. But he always, I don't know why, but there is something about Roger that I think he's quite,
Like Roger Moore.
If I'd have been a DJ, I would have been Duke Box.
Oh, yes.
That was my-
No, that one.
I always thought, I should be a DJ, and then I changed my name to Duke Box.
That wasn't on the list.
I'll tell you something, right? You just reminded me of something. Is two things. So when I was in the band, we all changed our name, and we had stupid stage names. Like the guitarist was a big fan of Zakk Wylde and Slash from Guns N' Roses, so he called himself Slack, which I thought was quite good. The lead singer looked like Tintin, so he got called Tintin. I, because I had a slightly Italian, I mean, this is when I was younger, slightly Italian look and was slightly overweight, I was named after one of the mobsters
Mario Brothers.
in one of the films. It was an old National Lampoon film, and one of the mobsters was called Nicky Tits.
I like that, though.
Yeah.
I like Nicky Tits.
So I got Nicky
Nicky
Tits.
has got history. That name has got history.
Which band were you in?
I was in a band called The Innocent OJs. We weren't very good. I mean, we released 2 EPs, but we weren't very good. And then the other thing is when I went, when I first joined Equity, when I was very, very young, I was very much into the war poetry of Wilfred Owen, as most 17-year-olds when they've just done their English A-level are. And so I chose, and this was 1997, which is important, and I chose Michael Owen as my name, and then summer 1998, Michael Owen was the biggest name in football. So I was like, I'm not having that one then.
No?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Because there's like a million Michael Hunters, so I could never get away with registering my own name.
Right. Yeah, I've never had that trouble.
No.
I can't let you go, Liam.
Is your name Mike Hunt?
It is.
I know. Honestly, you won't believe the fun I've had with that over the years.
Yeah.
You won't
I mean,
believe.
the thing is, right, I said to my mother, I mean, I'm 41 now. I was maybe 30. And I said, Mum, do you realise what my name's been shortened to my entire life? And she went, oh, yeah, I know. And I was like, you're fucking joking. And they changed my brother's name from Simon to David because they thought he'd get picked on. But they gave me Mike Hunt. Bastards.
Simon Hunt. Simon Hunt. There's no thing in.
No, it was just Simple Simon they were going to go for.
Simple Simon.
Oh.
Simple Simon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Leanne, just before I let you go, what would you change your name to?
Oh man, I think I quite like Dolores the Bump, so I'll put some work into that one.
You can have it. You can have it to a deed poll if you want.
I think there might be a few people already called that in a different profession. I think.
You mean like artists?
I mean, like artists.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Right, lovely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm going to let you go. I need a wee as well, so you probably do as well.
Yeah.
Lovely to see you. I'll see you next week, Leanne. Looking forward to that.
Yes,
We're actually working together in a room.
That's what I'm going to say, in the same room.
I believe so. Yeah, like proper all masked up and that, I would imagine.
How will you act with masks?
Oh, it probably won't make any difference for us, to be fair.
all in the eyes.
You're going to have to dye your eyebrows different colours.
Yeah.
I don't think. Oh, having said that, you do say. I tell you what, you might not be able to see, but what I've started doing is like just
Drawing your eyebrows on.
No, because I've never had that problem. I've got big eyebrows, but like sprouting there and there,
Big ones.
just one white hair.
No,
And it
listen,
grows-
stop it. You don't want to do this. You don't want it. It's like showing people your spots. You don't want to do this. You've got to have some mystique.
Yeah.
That's one thing that I regret not doing, is dyeing my hair crazy colours during lockdown.
Yeah.
I was like, I had the opportunity, but I did have the opportunity. I just couldn't buy any because nobody was delivering because it was all gone. I was like, pink hair I don't have to fit my headshots. I don't have to kind of,
Do you know what, Leanne? It's a strange old world we're living in. Just do it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Who
mate.
cares?
Cool.
Just do it.
I can always change the hair colour on your headshots.
Cheers, Mike.
Yeah, Photoshop's a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
Right, okay, good.
Okay, bye.
Lovely. Thanks, Alice.
Bye.
Thanks, Leanne. Lovely to see you.
Bye. Let's go now.
Way.
That was good.
That was
Enjoyed
fun.
that.
That was fun.
Yeah, really enjoyed that one.
Yeah.
Excellent. No idea who we've got next week. Can't remember.
Yeah, I'd look on the calendar, but I can't be bothered. And it's wrong because when you asked me to do the JPEG for this week, I looked on the calendar.
Don't say it. Yeah, don't say it. Don't say it.
Yeah.
Don't say that. Don't say it was on there.
No. Yeah, because
Yeah, I'm working on that.
yeah.
I mean, good.
I mean, I was as shocked as anybody to see that former Prime Minister Tony Blair would even consider coming on a show based around the creative arts.
Well, you know, if you don't ask, you don't get.
Yeah.
That's what I say.
Can you imagine that? Tony Blair coming on here.
Yeah. That was episode 30.
And 31. 31.
That's impressive, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's really impressive.
It is. I mean, it's properly like a decent amount of stuff.
Yeah, I know.
Roger just jumped in saying, "Boss that. Thanks, chap. See you next season at Ellen Road, Lee."
Yes, you will, my friend. Yes, you will.
And there's somebody in the chat from Twitter. I think she may be a sex bot.
Oh, okay, so we're going to leave that there then.
Yeah. Just saying
All right.
hello. I mean, she might not be. I can't really see because I ain't got my glasses on. But
Okay, I can't see it, so I won't comment.
yeah.
Good pleasure as always, Michael. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no worries.
Leanne's popped back in. Hello.
Bye.
Hello, Leanne.
She's gone again.
She's gone again.
I was going to get her on screen then.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So, is there anything we need? What episode of the podcast is it coming up?
Do you know what? I've fallen behind massively. As soon as I can get into the office, I will edit because I'm behind with the highlight shows as well, massively. I've got like 5 or 6 to do now. So I'll get them up as soon as physically possible, and then we'll hit it hard on social media.
There's a podcast version of The Dog in the Pond coming out soon. I'm just stripping all the audio out for those because the first series of that has ended. Ended with Gemma and Tamara Wall. Next season should be nice. Got some good guests booked in for that. That's about it, really, isn't it? I was going to say if there was an opportunity, I was going to tell you some shit what I've been doing, but we can wait.
Well, save it for next week.
Yeah.
Good. All right then. Well, let's thanks everybody for watching.
Let's
Please
meander
subscribe,
off.
and all that. Yeah, we'll
Let's
meander
make a
off.
strong finish.
See if we can watch the end of the Brentford game.
Yeah, so thanks very much for joining us for this issue of the Ghostlight Social. We much appreciate it. As always, don't forget to like, subscribe, do all those things on whatever platform it is you are joining us on, whether it's Twitter, YouTube, Twitch. We are going to be on LinkedIn soon. We joked about it a couple of weeks ago. So,
Did we?
and because I was saying, right. But I didn't realize I got an email on LinkedIn saying, well, we now do video streaming. Do you want to apply for it? And I was like, yeah. And you have to apply and be approved for it. But yeah, so we're going to stream this shit on LinkedIn.
Nice work. Whatever that means. That's good. I've got LinkedIn. I'm not sure what that stuff is, but there we go. I check it every now and again.
Yeah, whenever somebody comes up and they've been in, like, my old area boss from O2, who's been in the job 21 years, and said, say congrats. And I was like, no. Fuck him.
Fair enough.
On that note, thanks very much. We'll see you next Wednesday. Same channel, same time, youtube.com/letters and numbers. Don't forget to subscribe because we can have our old URL back. Oh, titles. Roll them.